Today we got a new venture 3550 complaint of grinding going into gear. They've already determined themselves, the customer did, that it just needed a bearing seals and synchros kit, so they've already bought that for me. We'll see if that's really all it needs. The guy that used to be here that played the radio all the time, fairly loud, is gone, so we're going to see if we can get through this without having to turn that fan on. I got so many transmissions in here right now that I run out of small parts baskets, so I'm having to use a coffee can to put them in. This piece right here, we just need to knock it up. And out. There's a spring and either a ball or this one's got a plunger. Move your shifter forward so that your roll pin can go all the way through. Alright, once it goes through, we can move this back to neutral. $6mm on the little deal here. That keeps your linkage lined up. We got 13mm on the bell housing. $10mm on the bearing retainer. Let me check your input shaft right here where the bearing rides and make sure it's okay. Check here on your bearing retainer, make sure it's not all grooved up where the throwout bearing goes. Snap ring here, we're going to take that off. Apparently I did not get it neutral. Alright, we'll get our backup light switch off of here. Come on, baby. Well, it is not wanting to come off of there. Let's see if we can get her bracket off. $13mm on the bolts. Oh. 7/8 on the switch. Alright, they made that one really close. Alright, check our bearing interrace, even though we're going to be changing them. And they're detent there, that's okay. Okay, now here's our bearing that goes on the front of the counter shaft. There's two 13s that got to come out here. If this was a two-wheel drive, you would have three 13s that come around that hold the rear bearing in. Since this is a 4x4, you have to pull the rear seal out. I use a drill to drill a couple holes and get a seal puller like this. Just screw it into those two holes that you made and it'll pull the seal out. Okay, everything about this one's going to want to be a pain. Behind that rear seal is another snap ring. You need to pull that one out. Then this is the holder for our reverse idler. All of this is going to come out at one time. They do make a holder that you can put this in. I do have it, but I don't want to get it all nasty. I'm taking this apart. I will do it putting it together, but I'll just take it apart this way. Here's your reverse idler. Make sure everything looks okay on that. It does. Your rear case. Bearing feels okay. Feels okay. Here's our shifter. Hopefully you paid attention to which way it was. And here's our roller. Counter shaft. Looks okay. You're going to want to look at all your teeth. Make sure you're not pitted or pieces missing. Not pitted where your bearings ride in the front and rear. Alright, and your shift rail. You want to look at your forks here and make sure that they're not worn out. Looks pretty good. Our input shaft. You want to look here on the teeth. Looks pretty good. Okay, some of these come apart easily, some do not. All these gears you're going to want to look right here where it's meshing together. where your bearings are riding, where your synchros are riding. There's a barrel bearing here. There's another snap ring here. Alright, this one's coming apart easily. You want to look here where your teeth mesh into the gear. Make sure it's not all screwed up. Same thing here. Everything looks pretty good so far. There's another snap ring on the front here. You need to take that off. Make sure that we are getting a view of this. See if I can do this holding it up. Usually I put this in either in a vise or in a hole in the table to try stabilize it. Let me get the snap ring off and I'll bring it back. Snap ring. Okay, this one's going to have to be pressed off. So I'm going to have to get a bearing splitter in here. I don't have a camera at my press. I don't have no way to mount it. So I got to get a bearing splitter in here, press this off, and then we'll be back. Okay, check your teeth here again. Synchros look a little worn. Your ring. 2 half moon keepers. And our gear comes off. Alright, we got 3-piece synchronizer here. And a little worn on second gear. Let's see what they want to do. Another snap ring here. on our slider. I think personally, you know, first gear's really worn out on the synchronizer. The gear looks okay. Personally, I would put a second gear and a slider on it. We're going to see what they want to do. And we'll be back when we get the parts and do the rebuild.